Welcome back to AuddyHotties. I'm McKenna,
And I'm Brie.
and today we're talking about
Tiny house living.
Woo!
Small
Can't wait.
spaces. Wait, we have to record your real quick saying dichotomy like 29 times. Go.
See how many times I can say
Say it
it
before you mess up.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Dichotomy, 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 dichotomy.
Oh,
Damn
like
it.
dicks.
Dichotomy, 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 dichotomy. It's a fun word to say. It's going to be in my speech all week long.
Yeah. Love it.
Hottie.
Welcome to AuddyHotties.
Just two friends talking joy and life.
All right, guys. So, welcome this week. We are talking about our tiny houses and living small and how that relates to our neurodiversity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start out with talking about the space that you're living in because tiny living is a little bit newer for you. Is that right?
Yeah, this is my first time living in a tiny house before.
Cool. And you've been in there like a year-ish?
Yeah, I'll be celebrating a year in the beginning of May, the very beginning of May.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna have your celebration.
Oh,
Yeah,
fun.
I will
Yeah.
definitely keep you updated. Um, because it just occurred to me that I have been thinking about a lot of anniversaries that have popped up, and
Uh,
they're grief anniversaries for sure.
oh.
And then
Mhm.
I love you're like, ah, oh.
Oh.
Um,
So you need some positive anniversaries to
I
go for.
I would love to start focusing on the positive anniversaries. You know, just because it's been a hard year doesn't mean I need to focus on that. It can also be on the amount of growth and celebration and where I'm at. And I think there needs to be a recalibration of that, if you will.
Love
I
that.
think I've said this on the podcast before, but like I am in a constant push and pull of my autism and ADHD. I feel like my autism definitely brings up a more serious, rigid, perfectionist side of things. And then my ADHD is way more freedom, fun. And I could talk about it in terms of astrology too. Like my sun sign is Sagittarius. It's all the fun, expansive, do things on the fly. And then my Pisces moon is very serious, um, very thinking through things, very internalized. So I kind of have that conflict across all things. And I do see that when I'm leaning into my ADHD Sagittarius side, there's just more of a balance.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know.
Speaking of balance lately, any updates lately that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, this past week I celebrated my first year,
Mhm.
talking about anniversaries, of being an SLP.
Aw,
Yeah,
yay.
I was hired a year ago at your early intervention workplace.
Yeah.
So,
Aw.
yeah, it was one of those things where I didn't even realize it until the date kind of came up on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, I think I was hired a year ago today and started working." And sure enough, it was that date exactly. So,
Aw.
um, I called my friend Gabby and was like, "Let's go out for ice cream tonight." Spontaneity,
Spontaneously?
spontaneously.
Uh-huh.
Having a hard time with words today, Brie.
That's okay. Yeah, on the anniversary realm of things, I guess I have been in Portland and at this job for 2 years, but
Yeah.
I never remember to think about how long I've been at something until I look at the year,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember that this year's 8 years of being a physical therapist.
It's
I
amazing.
can't believe it, and I wish I had made different choices when I came out of school because I was like, I don't need to do PSLF because that's going to be 10 years down the line. That's so long. I'm gonna have my loans paid off. Like, LOL. Now I'm at like 8 years and I'm like, wow, that went way too fast.
I could have done 8 years in this setting.
Could have done that. Yep. Anyways, the other anniversary coming up for me is next week. Actually, tomorrow, Monday, is Lauren and I's 2-year anniversary. So, thank
Congratulations.
you.
So sweet.
Yeah, we haven't decided what we're doing yet because we just moved in together and combined
Right.
our pets and all of that. And
Kind of
we're
taking
still,
up your time.
yeah, we're taking more time. We're still working on that. So they can't really be like like having a pet sitter wouldn't be easy because we'd have to be like, okay, this is how you take care of these ones in this room and keep them separate, but then do this and then
Yeah.
yeah. So
Totally understand
we're
that.
planning to do some kind of travel, but it's gonna be like a few months delayed because we want to have enough time for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't decide if the cats are like ridiculously fine with each other or if we're just like, I don't know, if they're just in a weird place because we like put them down together the other day and my cat it just like looked at the other cat and then like kind of looked away and then like went and laid down. And we were like, is this way easier than we're making it? And these guys are just gonna be like, cool, there's another cat. Because this whole time we've been so worried about like they're gonna get in fights and they're gonna be so mean to each other and like who knows? Like I won't speak anything into
I mean, cats are
existence
autistic,
yet. But yeah.
so
Then they could just be like, I don't really care that you're here. Cool.
pretty much. Who knows though? I've never integrated pets before,
Yeah.
but
This is definitely the biggest one I've done because there's four of them.
well,
So.
I'm glad it's successful so far.
Yeah, yeah.
There's four cats. Oh
I
no,
know
three
four.
cats,
Yeah.
one dog.
Yeah,
I
the
was
cat's
like,
one dog.
what the fuck?
Yeah, we went to the pet store yesterday and I had to steer Lauren away from looking at the cat enclosure. It's like, don't look. Just go the other way.
She's so sad.
No kittens for us.
I know they're so cute
I know,
though.
right?
I really want to fish.
Oh, a fish.
Yeah, I had a lot of fish in my 20s. By a lot I mean two.
Okay, okay.
I had fish for a lot of years. That's more
Okay.
the correct way to say that.
Well, that's good if you had two and they made it a lot of years.
They did, yeah. I had Tidbit for 3.5 years.
What was Tidbit?
Tidbit was a beta,
Okay.
a blue beta.
Mm.
He was some. When did I get him? I got him. Well, what's really funny is I've lived in a lot of places, which we'll probably talk about on this podcast.
Mm.
But I had it down to move him from like place to place in his little like carrier, and I called him like my ultimate survivor because one
Most
time
fish get stressed and eaten.
I hate to say this story out loud, but one time I left him in my car and it was like it was a really cold evening.
Was this an ADHD thing? Like you forgot that he was in the car?
100%. I'm like, are you shitting me? Yeah, in no way would my like full regulated self leave a fish in a car and have the knowledge of like it's going to be cold this evening. Like
Mm.
I'm positive it was during one of the transitional months where it was like October or springtime where either the sun was out that day or something.
Mm.
And then yeah, didn't know it was going to be freezing temperatures that night. And little guy was just swimming slowly the next morning. He had little frost around. And he lived another year and a half.
Wow.
Tidbit.
Tidbit.
Yeah, I
Oh.
really loved him.
Oh.
And then my other fish was Uluwatu.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is a beach area that I went to in Bali. That was just like one of my. That's what he's named after. But anyway,
Mm.
he only lived for like 2 years.
Mm.
He was not as hardy as Mr. Tidbit.
Cute.
So, but anyway, I don't know
Yeah.
why I don't know why I'm talking about my fish.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a good transition to talk about like animals in small spaces because that people would always ask me that when I lived in my tiny house was like, how do you live in a tiny house with a dog and a cat? Like that seems like really stressful or like hard for them. And like a big part of tiny living, I feel like, is that you end up spending a lot more time outdoors or even more time together
Mm-hmm.
because there isn't really like that ton of space apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in so my tiny house, I'll back up just a little bit. Back. So I've been in tiny house living a little bit longer, but I no longer am. I built a tiny house when I was in grad school, which people are always like, why would you do that in grad school? That seems like such an extra like burden. And like in ways it was because I had to do a lot of research, but also it was such good stress relief.
I bet.
Like I'd come home from a day of being stressed out about school and I'd just be like, let me just hammer some shit.
Yeah.
Like get my nail gun out and be like boom, 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 boom. Like
Really good regulation.
Very good physical activity to get me, or like lifting a piece of plywood that weighs like 40 pounds. I'm like doing
Sure.
some heavy work to make
Yes.
myself feel good. But yeah, I built the whole thing myself. I didn't have any building skills beforehand. I couldn't even like hammer a nail in straight before I did that. I'd never used any power tools basically.
Wow.
So I learned pretty much everything from the ground up from YouTube. And when I built it, that was like back in like 2016-ish. There wasn't a lot of tiny houses. Like it
Mm-mm.
was a pretty new thing, not a lot of guides and stuff like that. So I had some people's to go off of, but a lot of it was like going off of learning building codes and like applying them to a smaller space. And yeah,
So freaking
obviously it was a very
cool.
strong hyperfixation.
Yeah. What like made you do it?
uh, Probably the hyperfixation thing,
Yeah.
that I like learned so much about it, and I was just became so obsessed with like tiny houses and how they worked, and
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of living minimally and not having so much stuff around me.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea originally was because I built it on a frame to be moved. So the idea was I was going to do travel therapy and move it around with me.
Oh, like on a
So
trailer?
yeah, yeah. So I built it on a trailer on wheels.
Cool.
And I was going to move it around with me. Turns out an almost 10,000 pound structure is not so easy to move around with you everywhere.
What?
What? So I did move it to my very first assignment in Oklahoma. It was like an hour and a half away from home. Lived at an RV park there. That allowed me to have the tiny house there, which was also a process
Yeah.
because not a lot of people knew what they were. So I had to like send pictures and be like, "This is what it is. It doesn't
Yeah.
look weird or junky. Like
Sure.
it looks good."
Yeah.
And I lived in it there for like 8 months.
I didn't even know that you could live in a tiny house at an RV park.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. Sometimes a lot of them restrict them, but I didn't even know that RV parks a lot of times restrict the age of your RV too. Like some of
Really?
them won't take them older than 10 years old.
No way.
Yeah,
Why?
just hazards like increased fire risk. Like a lot of times they look junkier, that kind of thing. So sometimes they'll accept them if they're like you send pictures and they're renovated or something like that that
Sure.
looks nice. But yeah, so
Interesting.
it really depends on the place a lot. And now there are so many more regulations than when I built it.
Of
Um,
tiny
yeah,
homes?
because now
Yeah.
people know about them and there's laws around them and different places require different things and
Sure.
yeah. Um,
So
yeah, so I did live in it for that, and then I took it back home to my house, at my mom's house, which is where I built it. And then I promptly took an assignment in Alaska, and obviously wasn't going to move the tiny house all the way to Alaska because that's like a 5,000 mile drive. So it sat for
a
5 years.
long road trip.
Yeah, it sat for 5 years at my mom's house. I tried to convince her to use it as an Airbnb, but she didn't want to do the work part of that, which I
Okay.
totally understand.
Management.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
No,
Okay.
so I after that I hiked the Appalachian Trail and then I moved
Yes.
here to Portland.
Yeah.
And once I got here, it took about 2 months after I got here to find somebody to move it for us from Oklahoma to here. So
Okay.
it survived a 3,000 mile journey. It did
Wow.
not fall apart, so I think that's testament to my building.
1,000%.
Yeah, the only thing that came wrong with it was the vinyl siding on one side of it, like ripped off the front, like the direction that the wind was pushing it.
Wow.
And so the people that were driving it, they just like nailed it back on with a piece of wood for a little bit.
Okay.
And when I got back here, I fixed it. But
Nice.
otherwise, it stayed in one piece.
Cool.
Yep. And then I've moved it once more since I got it here. I moved it like 10 miles from within our area to another
Got
spot to where it is
it.
now on my property. So,
Your
Mm,
tiny house is here?
what? How do you not? You don't know that?
Well, I know that you're I know
Yeah.
that you have something above your garage.
No, it's in the other yard over there.
I have never seen it before.
That's
This
so
is
wild.
blowing my mind. I literally thought
I'm keeping secrets from McKenna. No,
I
I'm
know that
kidding.
you're not, but I had no idea it
No,
was
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I really want to see it one day. I know that there's a tenant in there, but if they
Yeah,
ever
when there's a
leave,
chance, or
yeah.
the next time that I inspect or something, I can let them know, like, hey, I'm like bringing somebody with me.
No idea. This is so cool. I thought that you sold it, that it was long gone.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I do kind of want to sell it when I sell my house because I don't want to move it anymore. But
Yeah. Oh my gosh, move it to Lawrence and I'll live there.
Lauren has talked about it because I'm not sure like if somebody will want to buy it and buy the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
So if that were the case, then I'd have to move it and do something
Sure.
with it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, it's been quite the
So
journey for
freaking
it.
cute.
Now I have tenants that live in it. I've had some really cool, some like a farmer lived in it for a little bit, and she brought her bees and had like her bees in the yard and stuff. And then I have another tenant there now that is a metalwork artist. She's super cool. Yeah.
That's
So it has its own
awesome.
little private yard back there, and I purposely kind of tucked it far back so that it wouldn't be too visible from the road and
I have literally never seen it before. Every time you talk about your tiny house, I think about the
like a
room
path.
above. No, I think
Oh,
of
you think
the
about the
room
room.
above the loft above your
Yeah, because
garage.
I also have a tiny rental that's like
Yeah.
a 250 square foot loft that's over top of my garage area. I also have a tenant in that one that's a travel nurse,
Well, and
so
you've
got cool
also
people.
renovated that
I
one.
renovated that one too, yeah, when I moved in here. So
Oh,
yeah.
you're so cool.
Sometimes I think about how many things I've done, and I'm like, do I look like I'm like a 50-year-old person with how many things I've done in my life? Like if you just looked at my resume, would you be like, this person is definitely older, right?
That's what I think whenever I hear you even talking about your career. Like, and I think I was talking to you and Lauren about it the other night, but I think it's because you were pretty, like, because we're similar ages, right? But
Hmm.
you went directly into your career and your master's program after your graduate program.
Yeah.
I said that wrong. You went to your graduate program after your undergrad program,
Yeah, just straight
straight into the
in.
career. So, of course, you've had way more years in what you've been doing. So,
Yeah, mine was like the fast track. I didn't do any other side quests before I got to my job.
the side
The
quests.
side
That could be a
quests.
whole other podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I, live in a normal size house, but I do, have experience with the tiny living, and I don't know, I still appreciate the aspects of it and like the reasoning for it and like minimalism in general. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, would you ever go back?
I don't think I could now.
Yeah,
I think I have
fair.
too many like sentimental belongings and stuff like that. Like I'm pretty minimal. Like I could pack everything in a small trailer and be fine, but like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could go all the way back to
Yeah,
not having as much stuff. Um, yeah,
it's hard.
yeah.
It's really hard. I go through phases of paring down things and then I am comfortable for an amount of time and then feel the need to pare down again. And
Mm.
that's probably a 2 or 3 month cycle.
Hmm.
And I am going through one right now where I
Oh.
am just like, holy shit, I am being suffocated by my stuff. And that's something that I really do. I think I said this in one of the earlier podcasts, but like this has been a very delightful challenge where
Mm.
it really has made me think through things in a completely different way.
Mm.
And the ability to pare down, the ability to like look at an object and say, do I want this? Do I not want this? But it's been hard with that being.
Mhm.
I also talked about this, but the being able to pare down in an economic situation
Mm.
where paring down might not be the best answer. Um,
The convenience of replacing things may not be as convenient.
well,
Mm.
convenient, ethical,
Mm.
um,
Affordable.
affordable is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Mm.
just kind of one of those things, and I'm trying my very best to do no buy this year, and I'm working on that, and still have needed to buy things, and as the economy keeps on doing what it's doing,
Mm.
I am finding like more of a need. But even like the latest this week, where people are talking about how there are like our food system is basically about to crash
Mm.
because of all of the immigration bullshit that's going on. There are fields of crops just rotting away. So in a few short food cycles, we're going to be out of fresh produce, and that affects like this part of like it affects flour, and it affects all sorts of things where it's just kind of a quinoa. It affects. It's a word. It's a domino
Domino
effect.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, and
Plus the not
so
importing things and
correct, and the
yeah.
tariffs and all of that bullshit. And so here I am in my tiny house where I'm trying not to buy a lot of food or have a highly stocked pantry, yet am like getting all of this information that I should have a fully stocked pantry. And so,
Mm.
reaching out to my community, I'm gonna store some things that Lauren and breeze because
Yeah, make a friend with a basement.
yeah. Which is just so incredibly kind. And I think it speaks to the community as resistance
Mhm.
because, I'm still going to do low buy, but I'm going to find a way about it. And really, the only access I have to that is to lean on friends.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's what I love about groups like Buy Nothing, which if
yeah,
you're not in your local Buy Nothing group, like it's an incredible resource for,
I know.
just not trashing things that you have and then
Yeah,
also getting things that you may need without having to buy from a store, that kind of thing.
for sure.
I was gonna say when I was thinking about tiny houses and then thinking about like what's happening right now with like tariffs and stuff like that, and I was like, well, with the tariffs, I guess we're all just minimalists now.
Pretty
Just stop.
much.
We're gonna have to minimalize
Yep,
because you just can't buy everything like we were buying.
you can't.
Yeah.
In fact, these had a tariff on them. I ordered these from Amazon back in December, and it didn't say where it was coming from in terms of geographical. And then it got to my house, and my landlord was not able to collect it for me because he needed to pay $25 in form of a cashier's check to the Amazon delivery person. And anyway, it was this whole thing, but was because of the tariffs on China because it's from China.
Yeah.
And
For those listening, it's the neon signs that we talked about
oh
last.
yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. So that's already like affecting people a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to minimalism though, I want to talk about how it kind of like I don't know, in a way it like suits ADHD and autism
Mhm.
in ways because I like for ADHD I feel like it helps us not have so many things to choose from.
Mhm.
So it's really like your plans and your way of doing things is streamlined.
Mhm.
And then for the autism aspect of things, it also limits like clutter and
Mhm.
excess to help kind of bring that like I don't know, disorganization down too, which is
Definitely.
super cool. But in other ways, it's also an extreme challenge because of
Mhm.
those two things. Because I don't know about you, but like with my autism, if I buy anything, I've researched the hell out of it. I've like
I know you do.
made sure it's like exactly what I like. I refreshed my skincare stuff recently, and
Yeah.
every time that I buy new skincare, I'm like, okay, is this brand of vitamin C still the best one? Do I need to get a different one? Do I need to get a different formula? Like, and
Yes.
so then I have a really hard time becoming minimalist or getting rid of things like in
Mhm.
those purges you were talking about because I have invested so much in every single thing that I've gotten
Mhm.
that it's like, how do you get rid of something that you've spent all this time researching or like, you know, feels important to you because you've put effort into it?
Totally. Well, and
Mm,
it's hard, and I feel like I've seen people talk about the concept of using everything up,
mm.
that our culture is someone, our culture is someone,
Mhm.
our culture is notorious for not using up, products before they're done, not eating food before it goes bad. Which is really hard for me, and what comes in where I think we talked about this last episode, but like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Yeah.
So I think that minimalism definitely suits ADHD people. I also think that it comes down to having a proper organization system and
Mhm.
also access to what you have, whether that is visual reminders such as labels, whether that is a dopamine.
Dopamine, yeah, dopamine.
Taking the U from menu, dopamine.
Dopamine.
Which
Yeah.
is what I'm finding challenging as I streamline and as I become more and more minimalist. I it's just it's hard for me to even remember what I have.
Mhm.
So
And like the categorization of things is challenging too, because it's like, okay, well, you need to have these systems to be able to access them or to store them well. But then it's
yeah,
like, what do you do with items that don't really belong in another category? Or they belong in two categories. Like, do you put them in two different organization bins? Like,
sure.
how do you keep track of all that? And then that decision making can sometimes freeze you, and then you just end up living with like boxes or just things out or.
Oh, 100%. I am actively organizing right now with my dear friend Lizzie. I know she's an AuddyHottie. Hello, Lizzie. Which I'm so grateful for the work that we're doing because it works. She's so good at coming in as like a trauma informed person or like a neurodiversity aware person where it is not a lot of demands put on us
Mhm.
to do the organizing task. I was very upfront with her at the beginning that organizing and keeping things, keeping them organized is really hard for me, and it has been since I was a little kid. And it, oh my God, I think this is the first time I'm gonna cry like on the
Oh,
podcast.
oh no.
Oh God. But I have a lot of shame with organizing.
Yeah.
A lot. Um, it's been hard, like ever since I was a little kid. I'm so sorry.
This is real life.
You made me cut this. Keep it. No, it is real life, and
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true for a lot of people with ADHD, especially as kids, and just getting shamed for being disorganized or, trying to have your own systems and then being told that's not the system that everybody else wants you to use. Or,
totally.
yeah. And
Um,
like having the autonomy over your own space does allow you to get some of that power back. But,
yeah, and also not really knowing how to organize or like what works best, I think is really, it's always been really hard for me. Wow, I didn't know this was so deep.
okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Um,
Mm,
but yeah, Lizzie's just
yeah.
able to come in and recognize how hard it is, and comes at it in a very kind way. And so it's been really helpful to do this with her, and
Yeah.
you know,
And that does that body doubling too, where they can kind of come in
yeah,
and I think it's easier to look at someone else's environment in a constructive way because you don't have that emotional attachment to it. So
100%.
having someone else come in and like kind of be that objective eye and also body double for you and like just yeah, bring those ideas together.
Yeah,
It's
in a
huge. Mm,
very non-judgmental way, I think
yeah.
is huge. And I think it's something that a lot, if not all, neurodivergent people struggle with. They
Yeah.
really do.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
anyway.
And I mean that shame leads to avoidance a lot of times too. That we just avoid trying to do it because that's another demand
Mm-hmm.
that we have to address something, but that feel addressing something brings us strong feelings, and
Totally.
then a lot of neurodiverse people we stray from or we try to push away from feelings because it's kind of scary or we don't understand it or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's hard to like piece through all of it for sure. And so I've been really trying to just approach one task at a time and understand that like if it's not perfect, it's okay.
mm-hmm.
And if I am feeling overwhelmed, I can step away from the task.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful with organizing because yeah, it's been really hard living in a tiny home to organize all of it because um it's a tiny fucking home.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any storage built in. So um I've been really intentional about buying storage that works extremely well for the space. And one of my favorite things that I got
Mm.
is shoe storage, vertical shoe
Oh,
storage.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's tall but it's very narrow.
Mhm.
And I'm not using it for shoes, I'm using it for my closet,
Oh, yeah.
which it just works out really well because they're just like drawers, but instead of pull out,
Tilt.
they tilt.
Nice.
So instead of it being a dresser that takes up, 6 cubic feet, it takes up maybe two.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's a couple of little tricks and stuff that I've learned to do with my environment like that. But
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it does come down to design
mm-hmm.
and like finding ways to design that space for yourself. It's like
Yeah.
when I built mine, that was what I had in mind most was like, okay, what do I do with like all of my things? Where do I
Mm-hmm.
put them? So even like in the stairs to get to the loft, every stair has a storage component to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah, and then the would you rather that I was gonna give you,
Oh,
I'll just do it now because
hell
it relates
yeah.
to what we're talking about. But would you rather have a big bathroom with a tiny closet or a small bathroom and a big closet?
Okay, that's a great question. Of course, I have 1,000 follow-up questions because I have to think of this autistically.
Yes, yes.
Do I get a bathtub in the big bathroom?
Both of them you get a bathtub,
Really?
but the size changes.
Of the bathtub?
Yep.
Well, obviously the big bathtub.
Okay.
That's no ifs, ands, or
Okay.
buts. So if
Okay.
it's a big bathtub, small closet, that's what I'm prioritizing.
All right, there we go.
What would you do?
So I did do the
Okay.
opposite. I built a little bit larger of a closet space. So I've got enough hanging space that's probably like 3.5 feet, 4 feet wide of like a
Okay.
hanging closet space.
Sure.
And then the bathroom, I actually have a 36-inch tub. So normal tubs are 60 inches long. This
Yeah.
tub is it's an RV tub.
Oh.
But I felt like it was important to have a tub because I have a dog, and I also was thinking ahead to like if I sold this and someone had a child or
Mm-hmm.
something, and then it's also nice to have like a foot soak spot or like you can still like fill it and use it for things, just not like hanging out soaking in. Mm,
Totally. Well, that is the one thing that I don't have at my tiny house that would I am trying to figure out how to do this for myself. I'm thinking about getting a bathtub for my backyard. I've thought about doing, an inflatable hot tub, but
oh,
I have access to the Kennedy School in Portland, which is really cool. However, it's chlorinated, so I don't
oh,
love that aspect of it, but
yeah.
water is something that's so good for my nervous system regulation that it's actually really hard for me to not have any sort of bathtub, so I would
Mm.
use the shit out of that 36-inch one. Even
You're like, I don't
if it
care what
was just
size it
like
is.
even if I was just like this is so nice.
Love it. Curled up in a ball.
Yeah. But again, calling on community, one of
Mhm.
my best friends, Courtney, has a super big bathtub
Oh, nice.
that she works like 5 minutes away from my work. So there's been a couple of times where I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
Courtney, can I just take a bath?
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest ask, but she's like, oh my God, anytime.
Yeah.
So,
And similarly, like I've always made sure I had a gym membership that included like a hot tub or a pool option too.
and that's what I'm in the middle of. This could be a whole tangent that you can cut, but I'm in the middle of deciding whether I want a gym membership for the purpose of having a swimming pool, hot
Mm,
tub, steam room, sauna. And I think I would get so much from that, but at the same time, I really want to do more like Pilates and ice skating as
mm.
workouts. So I'm like, I cannot do all three. It
Oh,
does not financially make sense to do all three. I can probably pick two, and I think that out of all of them, I would not do the gym, but at the same time, like having access to that is so important. So I'm in a
yeah.
conflict.
Oh,
And now
that
it's
does bring up the hobbies too of like like storing hobbies in a small space. A
yeah.
challenge. We've
Yep.
talked about our bins before,
Yep.
our hobby
ADHD
bins. Yeah,
bins.
which
Yeah.
also reminds me of an update I'm supposed to tell you.
Oh yeah, tell me.
So I was looking on Marketplace and I ran across a pair of rollerblades because I roller skate, you roller skate. Lauren doesn't really like roller skates, so she's always wanted to
I
rollerblade.
want to rollerblade too.
You want to rollerblade
I
too?
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I ran across a pair and I showed her and was like, "Oh, look how cute this little pair is, like pastel." And then she got really excited and went and found a pair that she wanted to get. She got rollerblades. She got Barbie rollerblades.
Oh my God. I'm so excited.
They are
That is fun.
legit exactly what Barbie wore with the lime green and like the Barbie logo on the side and like lime green and hot pink everywhere. And they come with like knee pads and elbow pads and wrist guards that all match too.
I am so excited to go rollerblading
I told her
together
she
with
has to
her.
dress up as lesbian Barbie in them.
Hell yes. Oh my gosh, like butch it up.
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
Yeah. Anyways, that was the fun thing there.
Amazing. Yeah, I want to rollerblade as well this summer, especially because I feel like it's very similar weight distribution wise to ice
Yeah.
skating. Yeah,
Mm,
so but yeah, hobbies are really hard at a tiny house.
yeah.
I I have my hobby bin that sits up kind of in like storage, but it's accessible at all times because I have my ladder.
Mm.
And that's going to be the shoe bin that I've been talking about. And then I have my art cart that's down underneath, and that has like sewing for embroidery. It has paints. It has all of my astrology tarot
Nice.
stuff. I guess not astrology stuff. That's definitely in the sky. But it has
So if
my
you had books about it or anything like that, that would be
exactly
yeah.
my witching stuff, my altar. But like books too. I have just everywhere, and
Yeah.
I have And that's also what I wanted to talk about is having special interests is also kind of tough in a tiny space because you can only have so much space devoted to each thing. And so like I
Yeah.
have some Taylor Swift records that I want on display at all times, but like all of them wouldn't.
Hmm.
So I have to choose which ones. Same with mugs. Like I have 10 mugs out, whereas I have like a collection of probably 50, but
Oh
they
wow.
all, I like rotate it out instead of
Yeah.
having it all on display at one
Oh, but
time.
that feels nice for ADHD because you get the
It
dopamine hit
is.
of new mugs. You're like, new
I,
mugs, new decor. I
we
love
love
that.
it.
Yeah, that's really that can be really tough.
Yeah.
It's been kind of cool having different people in my tiny house and like seeing how they arrange it differently than the way that I arranged it
Mm-hmm.
initially. The first person that I had in there, she was really big in musical instruments. And I'll see if they want me to link their Spotify, but they have a little band that they play music on. It's
Cute.
pretty cool. Um, and they actually at one point found an organ on Marketplace, like an organ, like
Yeah.
piano-sized
Yes.
organ, and they put it in the tiny house
Yep.
and they prioritized that space for it. So the organ was like on one wall, and then the other wall had like their belongings and like a few other things and like one little chair between them to turn both ways. I thought that was so cool.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. And I thought about doing something similar with a keyboard because I
Mm,
love playing piano, but not enough to have it in the space. So then I decided to not
commit
prioritize
that
that.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you really have to think through each little space and what can all work together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's really cool that they made it work though.
Yeah.
I would love to see pictures if possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I prioritized having a couch because that was really
Mm.
important to me. I like to sleep on my couch with my dog sometimes, just so that we're together because I sleep in my loft otherwise, and I
Mhm.
have a ladder to get up. It's not stairs, and I would not trust homegirl up in the loft to not jump off
Oh,
often.
yes.
Break some legs.
Yeah, it's a long fall.
Long fall. So, yeah, I have the couch there. And then also for socializing, I love watching movies with people.
Mm,
So the ability to host in that way is super important to me. But it does take up a ton of space. It really
yeah,
does. So, and I know that that's the purpose and that's how I want to use that space.
yeah.
So,
I like that decision making between what's important to you.
thank
Yeah,
you. That's helped, right?
yeah.
With the minimalism mindset for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest joys, though, of tiny living is not having to clean so much. It used to take me like 30 minutes max to clean my whole apartment, like vacuuming, sweeping, dusting, everything.
I was just gonna say it takes me maybe 45 minutes tops to deep clean my whole place,
Yeah.
which is,
Where it takes me like 45 minutes to do like my bathroom and vacuuming or something like in a full-size
yes,
house.
it is. I have to say that that is the reason for tiny living, if
Mm,
anything, is the ability to manage my space.
yeah.
It's incredible. I can't even believe how easy it is to keep it maintained,
Yeah.
which is important with the demands and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Which, and I don't know, this is just a silly me thing probably, but I also feel a lot of comfort from small, like cozy places. Like I frequently want to be
Yeah.
the person that's like hiding in my beanbag in a corner, or
Right.
like I don't know if I had one of those swings, like the sensory swings where you're like in the sack part of it, I'd
Yep.
probably love that part. Like so like some in some ways like tiny living frequently made me feel like that. Like I was just in my cozy little nook and like my space and
It really is just like this micro environment. And mine has this ability to kind of suck you into relaxation. I've had a lot of friends house sit for me and give me that feedback of
oh,
like, wow, you step in and you're just calm. And I feel like I went away to the mountains and literally just was here in Portland. And I, first of all, love that I've created that vibe in there. I really
mm,
do think that that's been an intention of mine. So I love hearing that feedback. And also, that's what I love so much about this little space. Yeah, it's really
oh,
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, but I understand totally being like just
yeah.
cozy vibes. And then
Mm,
I feel like it's cozy during the winter, but then it's like I'm not spending a ton of time at home during the summertime. And then I
Hmm.
kind of pour into my outdoor living space. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be doing my small garden soon. My dad and I half built my outdoor kitchen last summer, and he's gonna help me come and finish it for this summer. And
Oh,
that's just like a fun thing where, yeah, I'm gonna, even though it's a tiny space and I can't have people inside, I'm gonna try and figure out how to host people outside and those sort
yeah.
of things that, even though it's a small space, I'm able to make things happen.
Yeah, and there's that
Yeah.
balance of like that time that you're not doing these other tasks and
Yes.
time that you are encouraged and motivated to get out. Like that was a big part of like living in it with my dog is it wasn't a
Yes.
problem because I spent so much time being out with her, being,
Yes.
interested in doing other things, not cleaning my house. So instead I was doing fun
Yes.
outdoor activities. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does minimize the maintenance and upkeep, and I really do love that streamline aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, and in some ways
Yeah.
it minimizes finances, like depending on how
Hmm.
things are, because your bills are a little bit less square footage to manage, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do a flat fee for my landlord, so I'm not actually sure what my
Bill portion
utilities
is,
are,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
what I love is that I'm able to live on my own completely without any
Mhm.
neighbors or
Roommates or
roommate. Yeah, we're done with the roommate phase.
welcome to your 30s. Getting rid of roommates is the goal.
Yeah.
Except your partners, don't worry, Lauren.
So true, bestie. Yeah, it's perfect for me and Frank. It's funny when people come and visit and I have more than like three people in the space. It just gets really small really quickly.
Mhm.
So part of what I was talking about earlier with I want to host like a celebration of being there for 1 year. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to invite people over like one at a time over the span of a week and just have it be a
Mhm.
celebration like that, or have like an open house on a Saturday, or what I want it to look like and have like indoor and outdoor space utilized. But I cannot be confined by the small space. I can still work with it, you know?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's kind of all I had on the tiny house portion of things, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add, but
I never thought I would be in a tiny house in Portland. Um, it was one of those things, like I do kind of want to talk about this. This came about, like I think I found it on Zillow, and it was one of those situations where I kind of had to get out of my last situation pretty immediately. So I was looking at this and a finished basement somewhere.
mm,
And I feel very lucky to have chosen the small house instead because it's worked out so well that I actually don't see myself pursuing living anywhere else for the time being.
yeah,
But it is surprising because I've had dreams of, living and converting a school bus or
yeah,
and like living on the road. Um, but never did I think, oh, I can be in a tiny house in Portland. So I just feel very privileged that that came my way without me
mm.
like looking for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, oh,
We'll
sorry.
we'll share some pictures of some of our like living space, and I'll share some of my building pictures and stuff like that. But if any of you guys live in small spaces that you want to share, or like share some of your challenges and wins for small spaces too, that'd be
Yeah.
super cool. Mhm.
And I would love if anyone has like any tips for small house living because I'm definitely still novice at it. So it's
Yeah.
very fun to learn.
Yeah. There's always things to improve on organization and stuff.
There is.
Yeah.
There definitely is. So,
Well,
yeah.
I think we're gonna finish up with some current horoscope talk.
Yeah.
Because what's going on right now, McKenna?
Well, as I announced earlier during my tears,
Oh,
it's Pisces season.
okay. Woo.
We love her. Pisces is such a um it's such an interesting sign. It is one that is intuitive, so it kind of calls people to be in their selves, themselves. I don't know what that correct grammar would be. It's very dreamy. It's very otherworldly, but in an individual way. So, whereas Aquarius is kind of tapping into other worlds and like expanding based on community and whatnot. It's more about like you are having the dream of something and like it lives within you, and it's kind of I want to say the word selfish because it's really just not thinking outside of yourself in terms of reality,
Hmm.
but not in a bad way. Um, because it's in my moon. So moon is feelings and needs. And what I see is that I'm a very emotional person and can get pretty quickly into, you know, I'm very tapped into my emotions, I should say, and crying, but also like I can get into very like dream like otherworldly needs where
Hmm.
it's not rooted in reality, which can be hard.
Hmm.
So it's something that I'm constantly working through. I'm gonna pull up Shawnee though, because I feel like she has a very different way of
So does everybody have a Pisces?
no.
Okay.
Everyone has a moon.
Okay. So
So
my
what
moon is Sagittarius.
well, aren't you lucky?
I love this part because I am just so clueless. I'm just sitting here like, okay, cool. I know absolutely nothing. Mm.
um, there's obviously a lot of really positive things to so I'm going to talk about your moon sign
Okay.
in Sagittarius, but I'm also going to talk about mine in Pisces. So there's a lot of beautiful things about Pisces too. It's not just like this detached mindset, if you will. Actually, detached is way the wrong word. We're going to edit that out. It's not this like negative mindset. It's artistic, compassionate, imaginative, sensitive to universal yet latent connections between all things, capable of deep empathy. You tend to feel strongly about most things and most people, which can create a certain level of overwhelm in your daily life if not monitored.
Mm.
Um, so
And then because it's in Pisces season right now, does that make that even stronger?
it does. It
Mm.
kind of flares things. And, Pisces can be, you can have a Pisces sun, you can have a Pisces rising.
Yeah, I don't think I
Pisces,
have any. Wait,
yeah.
I had one on there, I think. I have a Pisces Mars.
Okay.
That's my only Pisces.
So that would mean so Mars is the planet of aggression, masculinity, and sex, which we love on here.
Apparently you guys love, so.
So, you might be feeling pulls with like either extra aggressive or extra, like a closer tolerance to anger. Well, that's I said that wrong. A closer access to anger, or might be feeling like you are thinking of elevated moments of anger in like a very different way, like you're kind of seeing another side of it or a more creative side of it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass right now.
Maybe that's what the segment's called, is astrology out my ass.
I do have a moon on my butt. So um it's come up twice today.
Maybe that'll be a story sometime for when we get exclusive hottie content.
On
Oh no.
OnlyFans.
No.
But Sagittarius is my sun sign. So because it's in your moon sign, again, your moon is about your feelings and it's about your needs. So Sagittarius is wanderer, it's exploring, it's um kind of that always moving towards the horizon. So always learning, being curious. So with your emotions, I wonder if you have them and then think about like, why am I feeling this way? Or maybe think about, oh, how could I be doing this better the next time? Or I think that there is a groundedness to Sagittarius. I think people would argue with me, but I really do think I think that there is a groundedness to Sag that even though it is like a fiery sign, it is pretty like confident and concrete.
Mm.
And so I think that maybe your emotions could feel that way and you're able to kind of articulate them well.
Hmm.
God damn, if any astrology people are listening to this, I'm sorry for butchering it and not doing a great job. But anyway.
Cool. So the current Pisces thing just makes Pisces signs like extra strong.
Yeah, and like the energy of the collective is that Pisces energy of it
Mm.
being dreamy, individualistic, not rooted in reality. So let me think of like an example of what that could be while we're watching the administration talk about all of these like plans and executions that are just not rooted in any sort of reality. Like it's very dreamy, it's very unrealistic,
Mm.
very I've never thought of Pisces as individualistic, but now I'm kind of wondering if it is. I
Mm.
know that Aquarius is.
I mean, I can see that, like, I don't know, also like the dreaminess, like us being kind of sent into like a dreaminess place because of everything that's happening. Like you kind of feel like you're not in reality anymore. You're like, what is reality? What is
Um,
happening?
That's a way better way of putting it. Yes. Like reality is really hard. Pisces is very much escapism.
Mm.
It's about not really like being rooted in reality and being way more attuned to that dreamy landscape. So,
Mm.
yeah, because reality is such bullshit right now, a lot of us are having dreams of escaping the country.
You know what else minimalism really suits though?
Hmm.
Getting the heck out of places when you want to go out of places.
I know, I know. I
Much
mean,
easier to move if you have less belongings.
you know what is not suited for minimalists is being a prepper.
Yeah. Get your
Which
Costco memberships now.
God,
Yeah.
it's so hard because like I don't want to come here and talk about politics and what is happening
Right.
because we are very intentional about this space being a joyous space. However, it is such like I feel the need to like acknowledge that there is so much going on right now.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah.
take care of yourselves. Lean on community. Lean on
Yeah.
those friends.
And if you need that escapism, then use that to focus on other things, like organizing your space or finding new ways to enjoy the things that you have or
For sure. Yeah,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong in escaping
Yeah.
as
Mm.
a coping mechanism. I don't think. Maybe that's my Sag Sun Pisces moon talking. Anyway.
Well, thanks for talking to us about the small space that you live in and
Yeah, thanks for asking me about it.
yeah, and all these fun experiences of different types of living.
Well,
Yeah.
this week find your joy.
And be unapologetically you in whatever space you're in.
Thanks, hotties.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music.
Please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. We could use some of those. If you want to get pictures that go along with our episodes and follow along, join us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thanks,
Thanks,
hotties.
hotties.
Bloopity bloop bloop.
Bloopers.
Oh, we're already recording.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome back to AuddyHotties.
Welcome.
Sorry.
Go again.
Welcome back to AuddyHotties. I'm McKenna.
Hi, and I'm Bree. And this week, who's leading this episode? I don't even know. Okay, you do the part before the sound. You do the part before the sound.
Paris, we've never had a guest before. I'm sorry.
Oh no, the perceived.
It's having a hard time.